Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Shockwave48 here. Welcome back to another video, and we got some great, actually, some more information of My Hero Academia of this new chapter, 365. Now, this chapter is still going on where everyone's trying to keep Shigaraki at bay, and Balko is being revived by Edgeshot, which I'm really concerned of how long it's going to take for him to do that because he still got, use his quirk in order to make it happen for him to wake up. So he's doing his best he can to heal Bakugo. So yeah. So like I said, everyone's trying to keep Shigaraki away from Bakugo, and it's really difficult because he's getting angrier. The more they damage him, the angrier he gets. So everything's a little bit complicated as usual, but they're doing the best they can to keep Shigaraki at bay so Bakugo can be healed up. All right, so let's go and see what we can get out of this from this video. All right, so be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're new. And let's get started.
When I say everybody hates this chapter, I don't know if everyone hates it. It's really hard to gauge what the consensus is on things like this, especially through social media. But I did see a lot of backlash and more so justified criticism because things are definitely getting clunky within the last 3 chapters or so. And don't get me wrong, I've been very vocal about me wanting Bakugo to not die. I don't think it was necessary for him to die, and when he did, I certainly wanted him to come back to life by any means necessary. And when I said that, I didn't know what we were getting into with the means being what they are. And it's more so coming to light in this chapter because we're actually seeing it happening, like how Bakugo is coming back to life. We're getting more information on how this is all working, but also more information on Edgeshot's quirk Fold-A-Body, because it says that he could flatten and stretch his body at will thanks to countless years of diligent training. His body can stretch thin and remain firm to prevent blood loss. So thin, it looks as if it were a spider web. So yeah, understandable. We saw Edgeshot do this at the end of the previous chapter, and we don't really know everyone's ultimate ability. So I get that it's going to be outside of the norm for what we're accustomed to with what their base abilities are. I mean, that's kind of like the whole thing about the ultimates anyway, right? It's kind of like an extreme version of what they can do, and it pushes the bounds of what we originally thought they were capable of. Hey, also guys, if you like my Hero content, please subscribe if you haven't already. It's fine if you don't want to, but if you just need a reminder, here you go. Then Edgeshot says, "The bubble wash bestowed upon me, it shall cleanse Bakugo's body." So this is where it starts getting really clunky, because what is being construed here is that apparently Wash, the pro hero in the top 10, who we haven't seen for a very long time as far as I know, maybe we saw him at the beginning of this arc, I don't remember, but apparently off panel he gave Edgeshot a bubble that he can just carry on him, and he could just pull it out whenever he wants, and he's going to thread himself through this bubble and I guess sanitize himself. And this really makes me think more so Horikoshi is just writing this on the fly. Maybe not so much just the entire thing with Bakugo's death and him being saved by Edgeshot here, because like I said before, we do see Bakugo in Endeavor's vision of the future in chapter 357, and he has like the Edgeshot inspired braids. So, you know, he had it planned for at least that long, I guess. But the whole wash bubble thing here, I think he pretty much came up with this as he was maybe writing this chapter to fill in the whole plot hole of, you know, open heart surgery being performed here on a very filthy battlefield, because otherwise could have easily just set this up, right? Or just have Wash here already. And another thing that I think we should take into consideration is that I'm pretty sure Horikoshi is like burnout at this point. And I definitely can relate and understand because I myself have been burnt out these last couple months. A lot of his chapters lately have been shorter than usual, which definitely is a big indication of fatigue and or burnout. We also saw this from him earlier this year, like he barely was able to complete that one chapter.
He's gone crazy now.
Shoto. And considering that he's been taking more breaks lately, this all makes me think he's been having a very hard time, and maybe he can't necessarily write to the normal capacity that he would. But going further into this heart surgery here, Edgeshot says, "I'll dive into his body, despite Gina sewing it up. His heart is bleeding and the interior is badly damaged." So that means that what we were talking about in the previous chapters is true. Like, Best Jeanist was like sewing up Bakugo's heart with his denim. And I don't think Best Jeanist had a wash bubble, did he? Because we didn't see it. So, like, his filthy battlefield worn out denim is like sewing up Bakugo's heart. Long story short, Edgeshot is using himself to completely heal Bakugo's heart using his ultimate ability where he spaghettifies himself. And he's not only going to mend the heart, but also his lungs, which were apparently damaged. And he's going to start pumping.
You want to unlock a career in cybersecurity. We can teach you the key skills you need. DeVry, Advancing Ambition.
Jimmy's John's new Pickup 20 deal. Save 20%. How are folks going to pick up their order if they can't pick it up?
What you doing there, fellas?
Fixing a flat.
Jimmy John's, save 20% on pickup orders when you order online.
Pumping blood into his heart again, where he says he's going to perform CPR from the inside of his body. So this is how Bakugo is coming back to life, and I'm sure he'll be somewhat stronger because his heart is going to be reinforced with a friggin' hero. So when Bongo does come back, I wouldn't be surprised if he's like stronger than what he was originally, and he'll be able to mount a pretty good offense against Shigaraki / All For One, hopefully. But speaking of Shigaraki / All For One, he's also a big part of this chapter as well, because we see that he's kind of upset that they're trying to do something with Bakugo, because he says, I already destroyed that. And then he starts having like flashbacks of the My Villain Academia, and then he starts to like freak out. But Mirko comes in and is able to fend him off.
I saw that too in the comics.
Her big purpose here. And he says that last attack did sting just a bit. Am I accumulating damage? No, they didn't land that many blows. That it must be impossible. Then he remembers back to chapter 362 when Bakugo was going after him in his cluster mode, like moments before he died. And at that time, Shigaraki / All For One had said, how is he making me so mad? This random extra who doesn't even possess All For One? Why am I suddenly panicking? And in reference to that, he says, my rage at that time, do you mean to tell me that I felt a threat in him? Me? In that nobody? So that's it. I guess he just felt threatened. More so the Shigaraki aspect of the combination of beings here, and that seemed to trigger something in him and to make him more mentally unstable than he already is. Because at that moment in chapter 362, we also saw this glimpse of the second user of One For All, and that made us think so many things at that time, like why is he thinking of him, especially because he's fighting Bongo at this point. And I think I have possibly an explanation as to what's going on there, because after Mirko lands a successful Luna Rush attack on Shigaraki here, he seems to get hurt by this again, and then he starts to remember like his family. He says, even though I broke them, when I still wasn't broken, there was no one there to help me, even though everyone pretended not to see me.
He had a rough childhood.
So I guess in all of this, him feeling threatened in that moment is reminding him of his family, which his dad obviously is a big part of the trauma in his childhood, aside from all of the other stuff that is implied that All For One set up. And considering that he was triggered by this feeling of being threatened, I guess this also triggered All For One's consciousness as well, since they are kind of linked at this point. And it reminded All For One of a time when he was threatened, possibly, when he was facing off against the second user, like around 100 years ago or something. So I guess he was able to mount a pretty considerable offense against All For One at that time, possibly. But since Shigaraki is like kind of mentally falling apart here, we start to see his family like form from his flesh mats stuff. And interestingly enough, we started to see his father's face form from him in chapter 362 when he was feeling threatened by Bakugo. So I guess this is like the ultimate downfall of All For One here. Not so much Shigaraki, because he's just inherently a victim in all of this, of course, but All For One's big plan for Shigaraki was to raise him to be like this hatred vessel so that he can turn into what he currently is, so that All For One could transfer his consciousness to this perfected body. And he needed Shigaraki to have this like intense unrequited hatred, because him and Yujiko somehow figured out that this was necessary in order for the All For One ability to take One For All, because of like all the fail safes and stuff built into it. But now it's kind of backfiring because Shigaraki has become too damaged and too unstable. as to where we're seeing this freak out thing happening, which I'm sure All For One didn't intend to happen. And I'm assuming that once All For One is done with what he's doing with Endeavor and the rest of them, like once Rewind fully unwounds his body and reverts nothingness, I guess his consciousness will have the full attention of what's going on here with the Shigaraki vessel, and then maybe he'll be able to take it over and control whatever malfunction is going on with his family mutating here. But considering that it says a newly unleashed power threatens the heroes, I guess he's going to be able to form like a meat puppet army out of this, and they're all gonna gang up on the heroes or something. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Let me know what you thought about this one.
Okay. Alright. So, big problems and good problems. That the fact that they're trying to do their very best to keep Shigaraki at bay. It seems like Shigaraki has become more unstable and yada yada yada. He keeps getting angry. He keeps seeing flashbacks. I don't know what's going on in his mind, but there has to be some kind of reason why Shigaraki is doing all this. I mean, he has family as puppets. That's disgusting, and that's pretty darn cool if you ask me, but mostly gross. I never thought Shigaraki had so much hatred inside him when he had like a terrible childhood back then. I mean, he literally killed his family. And he didn't want to, and then All For One found him, and then here he is right now. He's been through some tough times, and I can't understand that, but killing your family was pretty much cruel, if you ask me. But other than the fact that Shigaraki has to go down, I mean, he has to be destroyed at all costs. I mean, I don't even care if you have to save the guy. I just want him dead. I just want him out of the picture. And that's the only thing the heroes are trying to do. They're trying to buy some time so Deku will be healed up, and also wait for Deku to arrive. I don't know about the information about this, but I just hope Deku will be able to make it in time before anything goes massive chaos. Because All For One is being loose, and he's taking out heroes and their quirks, so they got to do something. I mean, these heroes got to do something about this to put an end to this, because that's what they need to do. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.